Okay.
Um, the the principal broker that has been representing the buyers for my Spanish Fork home still has not sent the signed counter offer. Although after I sent that message to him on what day was that, Friday, he
Hmm.
called me immediately and, said it has been signed. We're having problems with our software, Sky Slope. We're not able to send it over. And, my suggestion was, well, then it's in your email, so just put it in DocuSign and get it sent to me. But still have not received it. I did let him know I'm letting people, we're actively showing it until he shows us that it's been signed. And I had multiple showings over the weekend.
Good.
The appraiser comes at 10:30 though. So like it's out of their pocket. So I figured I'm not going to be the one to hold this up. So I let the buyer's agent, the broker know, hey, your appraiser's going at 10:30. Um, you still need to get me the documents. I've added Jeanette in a three-way text so she can see everything like all the pressure I'm putting on him. And then she also added, hey, just so you know, we are not under contract with you until you do this for us.
Yeah. Good.
Good morning.
Hey, Priscilla, we're getting offers.
Yes, we are. Did you see my response to that text?
Um,
I just sent it, so you've probably been busy.
oh yeah.
So this would
Yeah.
be the second offer they give. So do I encourage a counter for a couple thousand, $3,000 more, or should I just like it's a good offer?
I mean, it's a pretty good offer. If you just want to accept it as is, then it doesn't sound too bad. If you think that there's a chance to get a little bit more money, then you can just um write up a counter offer for like 3, 5, whatever you think that you can get, and send it over, see if they accept it.
And if they don't accept it and walk away over 3,000?
That's the challenge that you're in. That's the art of real estate right there. Is can you push them to go up 3,000 without spooking them away?
I pushed them 27.
Then that might be the biggest push that you can do.
Yeah, because they offered 450, so they came down 29 in the first offer. And then now they're at 4,745. So in my judgment, I think that's a good a good come up.
Yeah.
Are they asking for your sellers to pay like the home warranty and such?
Just yes, not exceeding 600.
Yeah. I would get the feedback of your sellers, see how they feel about it. And if they're
Yeah,
like
yeah,
having a hard time, then maybe you don't ask for the extra money back in the sales price, but somewhere else in the deal. Like if they need something to be convinced. Does that make sense?
yeah. I don't think they need at this point. I think he would love. I think he thought he would only get 460, and now that he's getting 4,745, I think he'd be like over the moon. He's like would be so happy. They're so eager to sell.
Yeah, and this is a good reminder that like technically it's not your decision. It is the
Yeah, yeah,
seller's decision. So I'm a big fan of, hey, how do you feel? Now, if you're looking at it and you're like, I know that they would pay more money for this, or I think I could get more, then that's where you can suggest to the sellers, be like, hey, I think we have the option to counter. We might be able to get 3,000 more, but at the same time, they might walk away. Are you okay with that? And
yeah.
let them make the decision. So, but
Okay.
I don't think it sounds like you're probably right about there, and the sellers will be happy because that's really all we want. We want to sell the house and we want the sellers to be happy. And on the buy side, we want them to get a house and the buyers to be happy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, good. Look at this. Real estate is moving.
Yes. Thank you, Cameron, for your help.
Yeah. Thanks, Priscilla. Good luck with that.
Thank you.
Okay. What do we need to be discussing today? How should we move your businesses forward? What do you need?
I'm curious if there's a way for us to search in the MLS to search by loan type or something, because I'm trying to figure out what loans could be assumable for my buyers. And then is there a way for us to search? There's probably not for seller finance, people who are open to seller finance. We probably just have to call, right? Or is there a
Yeah, so there is a search um in the full search. What would they call it? Uh, it is definitely there. Terms. They call it terms.
So that's searching for the loan type or for
Yep,
the seller financing
that they
possibility.
are offering, that they already said, yes, I am open to this. So you could do like a seller financing or assumable loan type of an idea and get a list of all of those. Now, that doesn't mean that those are the only people that could do seller financing, right? It's a popular lead generation strategy for wholesalers to email listings and say, I want to buy it as a seller finance. Here are my terms that I'm willing to offer you. And then they go and sell that to their investors as a finder fee. And so it's you can also email over and say, hey, I know you didn't list as seller financing. I have some seller financing clients. Would your buyers or your sellers be open to a seller financing discussion? And just see what happens. Email or
Is
text
it?
that, you never know.
I'm finding that there's so many agents who just don't know anything about it. And so they are scared off by it and they'll be like, oh, no, 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 we don't want to do that
Yep.
without even talking to their client. So is there another way to approach it where you're not like, this is seller financing, you want to do it, but
Um,
a succinct way of like approaching them without doing a whole presentation? Because like some guys say you should just go do a presentation, just go see the house, and then when you want to, if your buyers like it, then make an offer but present it to the client and their realtor at the same time. So you're like, hey, we want to make an offer, but I want to come present it to you, and then you present the seller finance to both at the same time. So you're
yeah.
running the risk of wasting a bunch of time, I guess.
Well, and as a listing agent, I don't know how much I want you as the buyer's agent to come talk to my sellers. It's kind of like an attorney
Yeah.
telling the client to shut up all the time. They don't want them
Yeah.
to open their mouths. I don't know what my sellers would say or ask or question. Um, and so even like a video, if your buyers like it and they're like, let's do it with seller financing, any offer that you send over, the listing agent is obligated to present that to the sellers. And so if
Yeah.
you sent that offer over with even just like a quick little recorded video, like, hey, I wanted to give you the breakdown, um, that might be a good idea. And then also, I have this seller financing calculator. Let me throw it here in the chat.
Oh, nice.
And let's make sure that anyone can see this. Yep. So it has this compare tab on it. So if you fill out the seller financing section, then in the compare, you could compare it to a traditional offer. to see what
Okay.
someone would make if they did just traditional financing, is what I would call it, and then seller financing, so you can see the difference. And so
Nice.
just walking through that to someone, because most people, their problem with seller financing is they need that money to then go buy their next property. If that is not the case, I think seller financing is better 9 times out of 10, because the seller will get some little passive income. They do get a chunk of money up front, and then whenever you refinance out, they get the rest of the payout. And so it is very beneficial to everyone involved, as long as the seller can go move into their next property. That's usually where the holdup is. So if you know a lender that can solve for that, then you might be able to solve for all the problems.
Well,
But
it's just
this
a
should
matter of
go
getting the
ahead.
right down payment, right? Because there are lenders who can get you qualified based on, like Jack's Petty does this arrangement where he does a lease option to contract for deed. So that way the underwriters can use the rent, quote unquote, that you're getting from the buyer to offset your next mortgage payment by 75. They can use 75% of it to offset your next mortgage payment. So you can qualify. It's just a matter of being able to get enough down so that you have the money that you need to net from the sale up front, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
So if you
but
can qualify
my,
with the, the money and then offsetting the mortgage by 75%, then I think it's great.
yeah, it's such a good thing. It's just convincing people that it's not like a scary big risk.
Yeah.
And I don't want to tell them risk, obviously, but I just don't want it to be a limiting factor for them because you can really minimize the risk in lots of different ways.
To me, it's the best kind of risk. If they stop paying you, foreclose on them, you keep the house and all of the money they gave them.
Yeah.
So worst case scenario, we're going to sell a house, but you could sell that house so quickly, because let's imagine that they gave you $100,000 down on a $500,000 house. Like, sounds awesome. Then they end up defaulting. If the house is still worth 500,000, you could list it at 450 and just
Right.
take that $50,000 loss, and you'd still be ahead 50 grand plus whatever they made on all of the payments. So it's not even like you have to milk it for 100% of the income. So I like it as another tool in my tool belt, because it kind of opens that conversation. Like, maybe there's another option. I haven't been as successful when it's been the only option for people for me. If I can't buy unless it's seller financing. I feel like I've struggled a little bit more, but when I'm like, hey, maybe you could buy with seller financing, we get into it, and it's like, if we find a great seller financing, we're going to do that. If not, we end up just getting a traditional loan.
Right.
And that's worked
That's
well
good.
for me as like a tool. And then on the seller side as well, offering it. Can I tell you something that drives me crazy is when agents don't read the agent remarks. If I could tell you how many times I have copied and pasted my agent remarks to agents in this past week, you would laugh at other people, because I have
Oh my
a
goodness.
seller financing and assumption loan checked on my listing, and people are like, "Tell me more about that." I literally copy and paste the
Uh,
seller or the agent remarks, and then they usually don't have any offers or questions past then. And
wow.
so,
Well, the video is a great idea, Cameron. I think
yeah,
I'll
maybe a
start
video.
using that.
Yeah. And you could even use this seller financing calculator, make a copy of it specifically for this property and say, here's my offer, here's what I'm looking at. And then you can say, you can even click on that compare tab to double check that your seller will net more money. And then even just walk them through what it looks like. But
Awesome. That's a great idea.
yeah.
Kylie, did I take over your question?
No, I'm loving this. I appreciate your questions, Courtney, because I think they go more in depth.
Well, I am glad that we're doing this because I think this is really such a good tool for affordability. And I think the more people who do it, the more people are willing to do it, you know?
Yep. Yeah, do you want a interest rate below 5%? It would be almost impossible for you to do that with a normal loan. But
Yeah.
it would be really easy for a seller with a 3% interest rate to be like, yeah, I'll give you a 5% interest rate. And then
How
they are
high do
making
you think you can go with seller financing right now and it's still appealing to buyers? You think 5.5 is the high?
Um, Cade, what's your opinion?
I've got one right now that I have an offer on at 6 or 6.5%. I don't remember what it is. So, but it's just land. But I like land even better because I mean they can't destroy it. You know, if they foreclose on it, I just take the land back.
Yeah.
They can't destroy the land. But yeah, I think you can go 6%.
Okay.
So even when rates were
But
really low, we did seller financing. And it was usually for those people that can't get a traditional loan. You know, like imagine you just started a business, you made $1 million profit your first year, but you have no track record of earning money. You know, like you want to go buy a nice house, you know you're earning money, but you can't qualify for a loan. Seller financing is really easy. You have a big down payment, you make payments to the sellers because you don't have to have those same qualifications. And so something like that, I would say you could probably get away with a higher interest rate. Someone that's like, I could get a loan or I could seller finance. It doesn't really matter to me. It would be hard for me to be like, yeah, I'll do 6%, 6.5% when I know I could get a loan, you know, not too far off from that. So,
and then you can also the closing fees, because a lot of times the closing fees are going to be so much smaller doing seller financing too, like the bank
Right.
origination fees, sorry.
Or even your closing costs, same thing, because the loan, like you're saying, like this guy I was talking to over the weekend who's offering seller financing on a $1.2 million house. He's like, your closing costs are going to be like $600 on this because you're basically just paying title insurance. But it's got to be more than 600.
yeah,
But
yeah.
Yeah,
versus like 10,000 or 12,000, that's a big savings right there.
And you can close in like no time
Right.
because there's no approval process going through the loan. It's whatever you want it to be.
Question, Cameron, right now that you said
Yeah.
that you can close in no time. Like this, like my situation, I was reading the dates and it goes all the way into, I believe, July 16th. Does it take that long or no?
Yeah, probably. A good lender with a good borrower can usually get a loan done in like 14 to 21 days, depending on the loan product. Now, that is someone that is sending 100% of the documents up front. They get real easy through underwriting, and then any questions that the lender has, they get them like that day. They could probably do it in 2 to 3 weeks. Now, most people are probably 3 to 4 weeks in terms of their closing because they're not on top of it. Like, I don't have an easy income to get a loan on. It's like, send me your business income kind of a thing. Show me all of your tax records. Where someone else is like just one W-2 job that makes a bunch of money. It's like, here's my W-2 job and my no debt. It's like that's an easy borrower. I am not an easy borrower. So I will need a little more time. So it's not strange to be 30, 35 days. I would say is most of them. Yep. Kylie's doing a 15-day close with Jake. I imagine it's an easier borrower than normal, and they have an easier loan product because some loans just take a little bit longer. There are like waiting periods. There's like a 3 days from disclosure to close. There might be an initial thing. So there might be a week of just nothing and nothing that you can do to make it go faster. So yeah, 30, 35 days, I would say is pretty common.
When does the appraiser go, like on the buyer's behalf to the property?
Yeah, I usually will order that right after the inspection. And so I like to know there's nothing wrong with the property. I'm going to move forward with it. And then I tell the lender, send the appraiser. If I'm more worried about the appraisal than the inspection, I'm going to order that day one and then wait for that to come back before I do my inspection. But that's not
Okay,
as common because I know even as a buyer, if the appraisal comes in low, I'm probably going to negotiate down and get a better price. So I'm
okay,
usually okay with waiting till after the inspection.
okay. I'm just
Yeah.
wondering, in the case that tables are turned and I'm on the other side, like how does that work? What's the flow on that?
Yeah. Ideally, you get the seller disclosures and then you have your inspection so you can see what's wrong and then actually see it in person what the inspector finds. As soon as you know that that's good and you're moving on, then you should have the appraisal. So
Okay,
it's just
all right
boom.
then.
Now, there's
Thank
nothing
you.
wrong with ordering all of them all at the same time as well. So,
Okay, okay.
but that's if you're a
Makes
little more confident in the house. Okay, this week we have T and J. So call your Thompsons, call your Jensens, your Johnsons, your Johanssons. This one should be a busy week for most people. There's a lot of T and J last names. So jump on the phones. If you need some script practice, come in. And then hopefully all of you will be here for Lee Stern's class at 10 o'clock. Bring your listing packets that you've been creating, a video if you're done with that. And I will see you all at 10. Have a great one.
Thanks, Cameron.